Hi there, and welcome to this new part on the course on Camera Raw. In this class, we're going to see how to get rid of imperfections that the photo can have, like dust particles or scratches. We're also going to see how to correct the distortions that the combination of some lenses can create with certain cameras. We're going to choose a photo that we have here, where there's quite a few elements that we want to erase from the photo. Well, hopefully we can make it look good. Let's open the photo in Camera Raw. Let's click here. And we're getting the photo that's taking up all of the window in Camera Raw. Let's start with the basic development. Before we start giving it the light and color, definition, shape in the photo, let's go straight to the lens correction panel. Here we have two tags, manual and profile. In the profile tag, we can click where it says remove chromatic aberrations and enable profile corrections. If we remove both of them and we put them on, we can see that the one with the most change is the lens profile. The profile correction is done by the person who developed the software, and it does some tests with some certain lenses and certain cameras and decides what problems can show up using a lens with a certain diaphragm with a certain camera. And depending on that, it makes a profile to correct the possible problems that these combinations can create. In this case, we used a 50mm with a Canon EOS 5D, and that produced a kind of curve, as you can see, like a barrel effect, and a darkening there in the corners, produced by a very open diaphragm. Okay, so when we click here on Enable Profile Corrections, that correction takes on the shape, the photo stretches out, the barrel effect disappears, mostly, and the corners become brighter to eliminate the vignette effect that is produced from having a diaphragm that's a little bit too open. As we go here to the tag or the lens correction panel, we can see that we created like a net. This shows up because down here we have this tag activated. We can make this net bigger or smaller, and it's going to be useful for us to know if the photo is well corrected or not. In this case, it seems like the lens correction profile has done its job. However, if we saw that the geometrical distortion correction makes the barrel effect, not look so obvious, or have the center wider than the corners, if we see that that correction isn't enough or has been too much, we can either reduce that correction or we can increase it. In the beginning, the profile always gives it a value of 100, but we can always increase or decrease the effect that the program proposes. This way, we can correct more or less the vignette value of that lens. If we see that 100 is too much, we can always take some away, so it doesn't brighten the sides too much. That's more of a personal decision, really. You can do whatever you want. When on the topic, on the second tag, the remove chromatic aberration tag, I recommend that we leave it on always by default. The chromatic aberration shows up when a lens on a digital camera doesn't manage to separate the three main colors very well, like red, green, and blue, and that produces in the sides of very contrasted objects, we get like a cyan color or a brownish, reddish color. Okay. So this could be a chromatic aberration, this bit here. They could also be halos that we're going to correct now in the second panel, in the manual panel, in the lens correction panel. Let's see if we can eliminate the chromatic aberration, and if anything changes. We can see that something has changed and that the chromatic aberration in this red, I'm going to tell it to remove the net so I can see it better. And we can see how when we eliminate the chromatic aberration, some of that cyan halo here and this reddish one here have disappeared a little bit. But it didn't fully eliminate this one here and this one here. So those colors, we're going to have to see how we can correct them. Seeing as the chromatic aberration hasn't changed them, it must be a halo that the lens is made on the side of this white ceramic on the black background of the photo. We're going to go to the manual panel, and there, well, we can try, this is sort of an experimental thing, we can try moving the green hue part and the green amount. We're going to reduce that, and, well, it does look like that's helping in part to reduce that halo. It seems like moving the regulator to the right has worked, the green hue one, and, well, we can deactivate it. We can also deactivate the green amount, or we can reduce it, and it looks like moving the regulator to the right and the green amount has made the halo disappear. We can see here the before and after, and, well, we didn't just correct the distortion in the photo, we also eliminated those color halos that we had. Okay, perfect. Let's leave that there and go back to full view. Now, we can look at the before and after. The aberration is difficult for us to see. The green halo that was especially visible in the letter A or the letter P or the letter Z, and now, well, it looks pretty corrected. What else do we have to do? Well, we have to do quite a lot of work, cleaning work. So let's see what tools Camera Raw has to clean up a photo, and let's see the end results. I'm going to go back to the basic panel. We're going to make, well, I'm not going to crop it because it would be easy to get rid of this part up here, cropping the image, but I want to leave it to see what the tool that's going to clean the image is capable of doing. I'm going to develop the photo a little bit. We're going to give it a little bit more light. We're going to give a little bit more light to the shadows. We're going to give it some clarity, some contrast, some blacks. We're going to take the whites to the right. There. Okay, now we can see what we've done up to now. We got rid of the vignettes and distortion. We've given it more light and a little bit more contrast. It doesn't have much color, so we can give it maybe a little more intensity, but really we're not going to get much from this photo by raising the intensity or the saturation. It's a gray photo. In that sense, it doesn't really need any saturation or intensity modifications. I'm going to put the photo into, fit into view again. And now that it's developed, I'm going to go straight to see if I can give it more of a warmer or colder tone. I'm going to go straight to the tool that's going to delete these imperfections. If I use this as an example, it's because it has a lot to eliminate. Normally, we would use the tool to remove a dust speck or the sensor, like a scratch or a deformity. But it's not thought to be used for, large corrections. However, when we see the result, we'll see if it compensates to do it here or in Photoshop, where we have many more tools that are a lot more varied and are much more used to do this kind of work. Well, let's get to work on this tool. So the tool we're going to work with is this one here. It's got a strange name. It's called the Spot Removal Tool. In Spanish, it has a different name. You don't really care about that, but I have to translate this stuff, and then I have to say it. So overusing this tool can actually ruin the photo and make it look bad. So let's get this brush. And it has a round shape that here we can adjust. We can adjust the size, the softness, the brush's edges, if you want them to be harder or softer, and the opacity. If what we're going to do is correct, we need the opacity to be at 100%. The brush has two uses, correction and cloner. The cloner will make an exact copy of the area that I can mark with the brush, and the correction is different because it keeps the light of the area we're correcting in mind. so it makes it much more subtler. I'm going to make it so that I can take the area of the photo that can be cloned to another area. Like, for example, if I choose this brush size, and I want to get rid of this spot here, I click here, and automatically the program chooses an area that's marked in green where we can get pixels from to clean the area where we've clicked. That would be marked in red, and the two would be joined like this. I can augment the area I'm correcting, going to the red circle, clicking and dragging to make it larger. I can also reduce it. I can also decide what area I want to take as an example to clean the red area, clicking on the red and dragging and placing it in a certain area. I'm going to take it, for example, I can put that area there where I want to clone it. In this case, I'm cloning this part of the letter E in this part of the wall. As I'm cloning 100%, if I tell it not to show me or not to take away the superposition, I'm going to see the effect of cloning this area here. So I can see the before and the after. I'm totally cloning that area there. If instead of cloning, I want to correct, we're going to see the difference between cloning and correcting. We have to activate it for that. So I'm going to activate this correction. I have it on, and here I had to tell it to correct. And the correction, the difference that stands out against the cloning is that the light that predominates in the correction is the original light, not something I'm bringing from the selection. When cloning, the light and the texture come from wherever the selection comes from. In the correction, the light stays or is the same in the area than in the one I want to correct. But the texture comes from where I've made my selection. So to make it subtler or to take away the small spots, it's always better to go to the correction position and not in the cloning one. I'm going to leave the cloning now to visualization effects so we can see how the result changes when the brush's softness is higher. The correction is smaller and the edge is blurred more. I'm going to take it to 100, and when the softness is at a minimum, the edges are very marked, the brush is bigger, but any touch-up is quite obvious. Whether cloning or correction, the edges stand out a lot. So it's ideal to always have a soft edge to not see the effect too much. With the opacity, if I don't put it at 100%, we'll always be able to see a part of the correction that we're doing. So it's interesting to have a high opacity. I normally leave it at 100, so in this case, what I have to do is tell it from where I want to make a selection. It's obviously not going to be from the E letter. It's going to be from an area of the wall that's clean. For example, now here. Now we can see if the superposition doesn't show us the before and the after. Here we have eliminated a spot. Now it's a question of telling it that I want to continue cleaning areas of the photo. So like clicking. I'm going to let the program take the example. If I feel it takes it from the wrong place, I'm going to move it so I can click. It takes it from the right area, and I can go cleaning large areas of the photo, spots. And the more large areas I have with no spots, the more areas I have later to be able to clean. To use as examples. So first, I would clean a large area. And once it's clean, we're going to be able to use it as an example for the rest of the areas. So if right now I have the center pretty clean and I want to clean a bigger area, well, instead of clicking once, I'm going to do as follows. I'm going to click and drag the brush, and I'm going to choose a larger area. This way I can clean more in less time. So when I choose this area, I click on the green one and I tell it to take that area on the wall as reference. So that area there will come down here, Here I can choose the softness I want it to have. If I choose a high softness, it's going to be less subtle. If I choose a lower softness, the result is going to be, much better. I can also move a little the area I want to clean to include other areas. Choose here the area I want to clean. If there's some parts of the photo that haven't been cleaned well, I just click and drag and choose another area. This is the good thing about being able to see in any moment what area we're using to be able to clean, and to know that I can move that green brush or that red one to decide which area and how it's going to look. If I continue in this way, looking at the result little by little, well, I can see that the photo is starting to, look correct. I'm going to continue like this, and, well, I just have to make now a little spot, a click for a larger area. I can click and drag, and I put in this everything I want to correct in this white line. So in that moment, well, this looks like it's going to work. Okay, it's important to know that I have large areas in the photo where I can take examples from, and I'm going to see how it looks. If at any moment I want to correct or make something I've already corrected better, I just have to click on these white signs, and we're going to activate the correction in that area. This little white pins, okay, mark the areas that are larger with a clip. The click will, be defined with a circle, and I just have to click in the middle of the circle to activate it. But when it's a large area, there's a white pin, and I can activate it going over it with the mouse. If it bothers me to see the photo, all these marks here, I can tell it that I don't want to see the superposition, and it will show me the result and not the superposition itself. So I can work in a cleaner way, and I can go along looking at the result I get. Okay, so we can see that after a while, the result is looking much better. This would also be useful to eliminate, like, for example, a whole letter from this graffiti on the wall. And the only thing I can't see when I can't see the overlay is from where it's taking the reference. In this case, it's taking the reference, right next to us. And, well, we can make the decision we want to have the overlay activated or not. If we feel like there are marks that are repeating a lot, we'll be able to tell that there's been an addition done to the photo, so I recommend making a second adjustment to avoid repeating those marks. This way someone with good eyesight can't identify the adjustment, so it's not very visible and we can't get caught. Okay, so we will go on like this, even in this part up here, where we can get rid of it creating a larger space. Once we've done this, we can choose it. I can see that it's taken reference from the graffiti area. This visualizes the dots. It's a way of seeing the contrast between the areas with more or less light. This is for photos that are softer. Most of all, considering the little dots of specks or of dust there that we might see in a photo. In this case, the dust speck, they aren't as visible as the spots in the photo. We don't have to click here to see the more contrasted image. We can see it in the normal image. I'm going to tell it to show me the overlay. I can see that from where it's taken the reference from the last adjustment, and I can establish it in a clean area. In this way, I can now see up there the before and the after, and it's made all of this disappear. If I wanted to make this black area disappear as well, I would just have to make a mark here. I would tell it to show me the overlay, take a clean reference, and then that dark area has disappeared. I can see the before, the after, and, well, this way we would go on until we got all of the photo how we liked it. It's a question of time. It's tedious, especially in this photo that has like a lot of that needs to be cleaned, but we can get a pretty good result. I have it pretty much done. I'm going to show you it in the snapshot I have here saved. I saved a snapshot of the corrected image. I can click on it and it'll take me to the snapshot that's corrected. I can see here the original and the corrected. This one is corrected, but it isn't developed. So we can, once it's corrected, develop it, giving it a little bit more contrast. And here we can see how, okay, I have the photo clean, developed, and corrected. And now I can put in a third snapshot called developed and corrected. Okay. Now we can go from the original, see what the photo was like when we took it, and then we can see the developed photo with corrections. For a photo that looked like this, it's not bad. What we can do with Camera Raw is a question of time, patience, and, well, yeah, we do it here because we don't want to go to Photoshop for whatever reason. Maybe we're not very experienced or sure, with these programs, or maybe we have enough with what Camera Raw gives us. But if we go from here to here with Camera Raw, maybe we don't need to go to another program. So, yeah, this is what the spot removal tool does. This is what it can give us. In the next lesson, we're actually going to see some other tools that are going to make some other kinds of corrections, like local corrections or local image adjustments. We're going to look at the tonal curves and how to improve the focus or the clarity of a photo. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson, okay? Bye!